Welcome back to the Broker Power Up podcast, the AIME podcast with strategies, stories, and insights to help you close more loans. I'm Tommy Golightly, and I was joined by Jonathon Haddad, AIME's chairman and CEO, as well as the attendees of Mortgage Mornings West Coast. We did our Broker Power Up episode 48 live with a whole bunch of AIM members and got their opinions and their answers for our fortune cookie and our questions from the broker buzz. So I hope you all enjoy this new version of the Broker Power Up podcast. It may become a trend. So we shall see if this does well enough and people enjoy it. Let us know down in the comments. Let us know in Brokers Are Best if you like this, and we'll be sure to do more of it. So appreciate you and enjoy the episode. I see a lot of faces that open fortune cookies with me at Fuse.
Oh, yep. Yeah, that's right. Some are used to this.
Yeah. So this week's fortune, as I make a mess on my desk. Learn from your mistakes and see them as opportunities for growth.
Oh,
yeah,
that's a good one for this one.
Yeah. That's a good one.
I'll start and then pass it over to somebody if anyone else would like to input, or we'll just pick on the group. So, growing up in the environment I grew up in, it's like you always were looking for affirmation in the environment that I grew up in. So it's like you're always looking for that pat on the back. You're always looking for someone to congratulate you. And that just has to do with my upbringing. And what you learn over time is the things that matter the most, like you don't need a pat on the back for. Like what matters to me in my life right now is my kids more than anything in this world, and my relationship with my wife is the most important piece. Like I don't need somebody to pat me on the back and tell me, "Oh, you're doing a good job," So like that's something I've learned the hard way so many times over and over again, where you don't need any of that. So that's one of my mistakes that I've been fortunate enough to learn, and so that's what that one just meant to me, especially just coming back from Mortgage Con and having fun like that. Tommy, what about you?
It's always one of those, just it hurts a little bit more when you make the same mistake twice. And so for me, it's just remembering my mistakes and trying not to repeat them, and I think that is the opportunity for growth, is when you make the mistake for the first time, just being more cognizant of it when you're in opportunities to remake that mistake. That's the growth, showing that you don't make it a second time.
Especially mortgages, like y'all, that's how I learned, I think, how to do loans, was making 1,000 mistakes. I denying out my first loan was probably one of the worst. I still remember it. Anyone here want to share around that quote by chance, or pick on somebody?
I'll share.
Kim, please. Thank you.
Right. So, yeah, I would say one of my biggest mistakes is apologizing all the time. I say I'm sorry for things that I shouldn't say I'm sorry for. And so it's taken me a long time, like 27 years in mortgage, to stop saying I'm sorry for things that I didn't do. It doesn't earn the respect of the client or the agent. It's important to own everything, right? And I do take ownership for what I should own, but I also don't apologize if something goes sideways that is outside of my control. I'm just here to help find solutions. Yeah, so stop apologizing, and also stop thinking that I am their higher power and responsible for every good or bad outcome in someone else's life. Like, that's a God size.
Kim, that was fantastic. Thank you for sharing that one. That sorry one is such a big one, and especially because you said something that I love, where you said, I still take ownership, but that doesn't mean I have to sit there and just say sorry all the time. Because it is, like, that's such a big thing, especially in our space. So I love that you said that. It goes such a long way, because there is still a way to take ownership without having to just sit there and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I screwed." Because it's not always us, right? Like, we're the ones, especially as LOs, that are taking so much of the blunt force up front when anything goes wrong. So thank you for sharing that. That was an awesome one. Anyone else want to share?
For me a little bit. Sometimes I trust people so fast. I just like, even if I'm being straightforward, I say I'm straightforward, and and I start like, um, they blame me. They know how to blame me, It's a problem. I read it, and there's a problem. I put my guard down, and it's really hard for me to. Um, it hurt,
Yeah, yeah.
one day, and it, I feel again. This is the trust in people. Whatever they say, I believe. I don't validate inside my head, and I put my guard down a lot, but I don't know how to do it. I
People,
read
it's,
it,
I know.
I fall on it. It's driving me crazy.
I know. Just don't change. You know, like it's hard, but it's
But the
it's
problem
so
when
hard.
I change around the good people around me, and that hurt me more.
Correct.
And my guard up with the people around, the good people, but the sneaky one is it's right, especially like I'm dealing with the customer and they the ones they have the mentality and they already when they see you in video, they read you, like you being straight, being honest, you know, they come to you and they going
Go
around
around.
you, and because they already build the vision and they coming in and they know how they attack it, and that's hurt. But I don't know
Thank
how
you,
to
George.
fix
It's all right. No, thank you for sharing, George. Thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
Um, thank y'all. Anybody else have one that they want to share about this?
I have one that was
Yes,
really
please.
surprising to me. After all these years, I'm a real estate agent I've been friends with forever. And she called me on it that I never just say thank you, like for a compliment. She'll compliment me on something I did, and I'll say, oh, that was just my job, or that's just what I do, or whatever. And she actually took it further than I would have expected and said, you're actually negating what I said. You're making me feel bad.
Wow.
And I didn't realize, I just thought I was being, aw shucks, it's fine. And she was saying, I took the time to compliment you on something you did for me. Just say thank you. And so I've started doing that. And I realized how many times over the years have I negated somebody's compliment or feelings and said, no big deal. So
Have you, if you don't mind me asking, has that like always been a thing for you? Like if you can recall, and has that been something that where you
yeah,
just kind of push it to the side a lot?
I didn't realize it till she pointed it out. And
Wow.
I love friends like that because I've had so many that I guess just kind of, oh, that's just Sloan. She can't just take a compliment. And I didn't realize it was actually a negative thing for them. I thought I was being a humble, nice person. And on the other hand, I was not. It didn't work that way for them.
Thank you for sharing. That one's deep too, y'all. Thank you for sharing that one because I like that goes so much deeper. I can tell just by the way you're speaking about it, and so it's really great that you're even seeing that, and you're like, okay, I can make this change. This is such like a thing that I can jump on, and hopefully it made you feel good too. I do hope it did make
Yeah,
you feel like just real good inside as well.
exactly. And it's easy. It's easier and easier to just say, you're welcome. I'm glad I could help. Instead of making all these excuses for why, of course, I should have done that. And, it's no big deal.
It's downplaying the role a lot, but we do such big picture things too, and it's beautiful, especially when you have a partner like that, that just will say something to you because it bothered them so much, and it's like that. Those are the people you want in your life, where it's like, hey, you can say it to anyone else, but to me, I need you to just accept this compliment, please. Thank you for sharing that.
Exactly.
I appreciate that very much. Y'all, anybody else want to share? We had a couple new folks join, so this will be part of our podcast for the new folks that are joining. And we opened up a fortune cookie, and this one is about learning from your mistakes.
I'll read the fortune one more time. Learn from your mistakes and see them as opportunities for growth.
All right, Tommy,
Yep.
let's go ahead and our first question.
First question of the week. On a conventional purchase over 90% LTV, I know that sellers' concessions are limited to 3%. If the buyer wants the seller to pay for their agent commission and it's 3%, does that use up the entire allotment for concessions, or do agents' commissions not count in that 3% concessions?
Okay,
I've
who Oh, go ahead. Finish. Sorry.
I've asked two different lenders and I've gotten two different answers, and I can't find it in the guidelines. Any guidance would be greatly appreciated.
Okay. Who wants to answer this one? Does anyone know? Can anyone answer this? I know one of you knows this answer.
No, they're not included, but I can't tell you, I can't quote you the guideline for what.
That's okay. Anyone else might know this answer. So over 3% or over 90 LTV, 3% down. Thank you. On a conventional purchase over 90% LTV, seller concessions are limited to 3%. If the buyer wants the seller to pay for their agent, if the buyer wants the seller to pay for their agent commission and it's 3%, does that use up the entire allotment for concessions, or do agents' commissions not count in that 3% concessions? Who knows?
Jonathan, I'm confused because the seller concession is for the that has nothing to do with the real estate agent.
Okay, keep going. Go answer the question. Yeah, you're good. Keep going, Dion.
So no, it doesn't. It doesn't because it's not a concession.
It's agent commissions, correct?
It's an agent commission. Yeah, I was like, is this a trick question? What am I not?
No. This is just so we copy paste. So y'all, this is
These are, yeah.
This is right from our community, and so we love doing this because a lot of them are newer loan officers that'll ask, and so like this is where it helps them. So it's not really part of it is us teaching them framing, because I think part of it could be like, hey, did I frame this question properly? Which a lot of the times it's no. Then the other part is, can we help them get an answer? So you are correct, Dion. You're looking at it the right way with what you're saying. They're paying agent commissions, which is not being the concessions aren't needed to be used to pay for the agent's commission. So that's a completely separate thing in this specific situation. Cool. Does that answer the question? All right, Tommy, question 2.
Cool. Question 2. Let's get it up here. Question 2. Hi, broker family. I would really appreciate your help and guidance. I am bringing my son aboard as my first hire, and I am going to train him as an MLO. My brokerage is licensed only in Florida currently. Can anyone give me some advice on the basics, like if I should pay him with a 1099 or W-2?
Ooh, anybody here have that experience working with family, 1099, W-2? Anybody here have thoughts that they can share for our community on this?
I have done both. And I just yesterday brought on my daughter-in-law as a 1099. So I'm doing this right now. Yeah. I was retail for a long time. Like I was broker, then retail, now back to broker. And in retail, it was a lot easier for them to be W-2 because there was all that padding built into the merchant to pay for all the overhead. So being a broker though, and being on my own P&L, boy, it is so much better for me, a business decision to go with 1099. So I highly recommend it. It's been an adjustment for me to go back to that, but it's so much better. It's clear. I do a per closing, and I'm clear about, hey, I don't do an hourly with her right now. I'm just doing it. She gets paid per closing, so she might work on loans that don't close. Welcome to loan officer life, LOA life. And so just, showing here's what the upside will be when times are good, and then downside when times are slow, and you're going to work on loans that get all the way to closing and don't close and you don't get paid on them. So setting expectations, I think, is important around that piece, because it's not the same as W-2 when you might be expecting an hourly rate or salary. Is that helpful?
Yeah, that's very helpful. And then Kim, if you don't mind, what's like one or two things maybe that people should be more due diligent of if they are going to pay 1099? Like, hey, what do they have to pay attention to outside of the standard? You got to pay your taxes separately. But outside of that, is there any one or two things that pop up in your head that people should be really on top of?
Well, other than medical, like where are they going to get their insurance, having that lined up, managing their expectations around they're paying their taxes. So yeah, that's kind of all I've got there. I will say a piece of advice is that I've learned over time from mistakes that I've made not doing this. Set expectations very clearly for the first 90 days, especially when it's a family member, of a date of here's the skills that I'd like you to have acquired. I want you to be able to do this assisted and do this independently. And then 2 weeks or 30 days later, I'd like you to be able to do these assisted and these skills now independently and go all the way out to the 90 days after you've written their job description, like brain dump their job description of all the things, and then have check-ins every 2 weeks, 30 minutes on the calendar, whether it's Zoom or in person, and go over the list of what the expectations were, move out what needs to be moved out, check off what's been accomplished. And then at that 90 days, okay, here's what the expectation is. And then I did 6 months and then 12 months because a year from now, I'd like you to be able to 100% do all of this independently, but it takes time to get to that place. And I've learned from not doing that in the past that was, conflict arises when expectations differ. So be clear. Clear is kind.
Kim, that was y'all. That was a masterclass. So especially working with family too. What I for my and y'all, I'm really fortunate to be able to talk to a lot of different loan officers and different broker owners, and a lot of the ones where they have issues working with family is exactly what she said, where they don't do expectations. Where it's like you just assume that even if it's and not saying it's a specific broker, so you could manage expectations perfectly, but in a lot of cases where it goes wrong is even if it's your son, your daughter, your dad, your mom, any relative, you don't do that. You're not checking in every 2 weeks. It's you're waiting 90 days, 120 days before you even have a conversation. If you want resentment to build up, do that. That's the best way for you to build resentment. So thank you, Kim, for
Mhm.
that deep dive. Y'all, you heard it here. So this is she's done it. She's talking about it, and she's giving you the tips for it. So thank you for that free wealth of knowledge. We appreciate you.
Jonathan, this is Steph. Can I hop in?
Yes, Steph, please.
So I have family that works for me, small shop. Everyone's been W-2'd only because that's all I've ever been told is the right way to do it. But a lot of my peer broker owner friends in Colorado specifically, 1099, and I'm at a transition with my company where I could change now, kind of cleaned house, and I'm ready to ramp back up and hire. And I just wonder if anyone has any perspective about switching from W-2 to 1099 and those implications. I understand the benefits and things that you think about, Kim, when people are 1099, but is there something else I should be thinking about?
Great question. Anyone want to take that? Jump on that,
Sure.
please.
I'm
Is
happy
that
to talk
Maddie?
about them a little bit.
Maddie, please go ahead.
Yep. There are, of course, tax implications on the business ownership side. So most people don't realize that 1099 income paid to a contractor can be a tax benefit in most states. So you're not only keeping more money off the top line, but you're also recapturing more money in taxes, as a refund or a write-off. The thing I find is that people that are further along, maybe in their career, I guess it's getting better. You guys know, you're experts at this, like non-QM stuff and 1099 pay. But it used to be that like you couldn't qualify for a lot of things if you were not a W-2 employee. So I think that connotation still hangs around in people's minds. In terms of like, I don't know that I want to take that on because, like you were mentioning, I was taught to, you know, I've only ever been a W-2 person and I always want to stay a W-2 person. As a person who has been both 1099 and W-2'd, I take that into consideration when I'm accepting positions based on the income amount I'm being offered. So like my salary needs to be significantly different if I'm going to accept that job because I know I'm going to pay up to 30% top line off of that to the government. So people are very savvy now, and especially with AI, they can ask, anything to calculate about what they would take home based on what they're getting paid as a 1099 person. So that can be a blind spot, I think, when recruiting and or just moving people over to a different pay structure. So I think as a business owner, that's something to be aware of.
I wonder if people in general, like if we took a poll, would rather be 1099 and get more of their own income in their pocket, or if they'd rather have the employer be paying, you know,
I don't think
into,
they realize, I
yeah.
think there are a lot of people that think it's better, and then it comes tax time and they don't realize what they're going to have to pay.
So So one of the things that I had my team do one time is I had a lot of them ask me to be 1099, and one day I was going to say frustrated is the best word for it because so many kept asking me. So I grabbed a Schedule C and I put the Schedule C in front of them and I said, "Show me where you're going to make more money. Take your last year W-2 and show me." And that was just a really eye opener. And like two or three of them got it, and those were the two or three I said, okay, like we just might not be a good fit for you. You might need to go to a place that will allow you to do that because they understood it. But everybody else, I mean, Maddie, you were spot. I mean, you're spot on. They were writing off meals, like 30 grand in meals. I'm like, you spent $30,000 on meals, like this is, so that's the other side of it. That's just a good practice and a good little test that might help just putting a Schedule C in front of some people.
It's really fun to write off. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. That's okay.
I was going to say it's really fun to get paid that money and then write it all off until you have to actually buy something. And then you have no income to show. People like,
yes.
It all comes, so it's advantageous to the owner of most businesses. It is not always advantageous to the contractor, depending on their level of experience and expertise and just general knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
I just learned one thing also. W-2, W-2 doesn't mean you have to base a person per hour. You need to base him per transaction. You can do that.
Yeah.
So instead of like, hey, you're working, I hire my nephew, whatever, you hire someone, you're thinking, hey, you need to pay the minimum wage, la 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 la. No, it's a pay by transaction. Is again the big check, you're getting got a check that is actual check 5,000, 2,000, whatever it is for one time. It's not every day I have to be with them to count how many hours they need to do. But still, in here in California, is a little bit crazy. I don't know if it's W-2 or 1099. Every broker shop is different.
People are getting there's some noise around California right now. There's some shops getting fined heavily for 1099. So just be on the lookout for that. The auditors are moving into the states for sure since the CFPB is kind of imploded. The states are picking up steam right now, and you'll see some stuff this year. So also to George's point, be very just do it the right way. Be cautious, ask questions. If you're gonna play in the gray, just get an attorney opinion letter. Just make sure you have something to CYA. So if you ever get audited, you just, hey, I talked to an attorney. Here's what we said. Here's why I did it. Then that way, you're just paying the fine and not dealing with any other potential major repercussions.
In California, we say. In California, everybody's saying, "Oh, talk to your CBA after this. Talk to the CBA. Talk to NMLS." And NMLS, especially, they have W-2 and 1099 inside it, And after that, they say, "No, no, no. Talk to the labor board." And labor board is saying, "Anybody doing activity to make you money is 1099 is W-2." It's like you search, and in the end of the day, is nobody give you an answer. I'm sorry.
No,
There's
you're
no
right.
no answer. No
You're
answer.
right. Tommy.
But like you say, they have a lot of people that are getting a lot of fine on it.
Tommy, ready for the next one?
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up with something Kim said and reiterate how important those checkup and evaluations are. I used to work for my father-in-law, not in mortgage, but I think in any industry, I think that, and what John said, the expectation and just assuming those check-ins are happening, but then you go 90, 120 days and the resentment can and will build. So just wanted to double down on that because I couldn't agree more.
Last one.
Yep. Last question. How do you handle it when a client is being mean, awful, / disrespectful to your team?
Who wants this one first?
I'll take this one.
Holly, go. Welcome to the jungle. Yeah.
So I had a client, one of my top clients. I think the last couple of years, about 200 loans for him. So like a top client of mine, and he was just downright horrible. I mean, nasty to me. He would demand me to do this, do that. Right before closing, he would say, I'm going to go somewhere else after we're clear to close if you don't change this and this and this. And every day, like, I'm not going to send you another loan unless you cut this and cut that. And here's, and then he would just like blame me for everything, like servicing, at UWM had a glitch where they were reporting to credit for the investor loans. And he's just like, it's your fault, you're this. And I mean, he's just like yelling at me, nasty. Everything he did was just nasty. So for months, I'm like, I need to get rid of this guy. Like he is just draining the life out of me. But it took, I think the hard part is like, you're getting business and so many people put up with stuff. But one day and he was my team's VAs, and he would just make comments like, well, since they're in another country and all this stuff, and was just like, they didn't do anything wrong. They weren't anything, to him. But he just was nasty to everybody. And so one day I just put my foot down and I was like, you know what? Don't send me any more loans. I'm gonna, give me another broker. I'm gonna send all your loans somewhere else. Like, go work somewhere else. Like, I just had to like finally stand up and say, like, I'm not gonna take this. And then he wouldn't let me he wouldn't let me stop working his loans. And so I had to finish. So I was like hoping appraisals would come in short and just hoping to get rid of the guy. And he like wouldn't go away. And finally I closed his last loan a couple months ago, and it's been like the best thing ever. But I think when somebody's mean and nasty, you can't put up with it. You have to, say I'm better than this, and like speak up to them and tell them that you're not going to accept that, because otherwise they just keep doing it and doing it, doing it. And so, yeah, I just was very direct. I just said, I'm not gonna be treated like this. I was like, and I used all the words, you've been this, this, and this to me, and I don't deserve that. I worked my butt off for you. I do all these things, and it's not okay to treat people like that. And he, right away, he was like, well, I didn't mean, it's not like, he's trying to backtrack and say nice things. But then the next day it's like back at it. And finally I just stopped answering text and calls and just said, let his loans go through, and it stopped. So yeah, that was my experience. It was, I'm talking like the worst of the worst, how he treated me and my team. And yeah, you just got to put your foot down and say, I'm not going to be treated like this.
I'm glad you, first of all, sorry you went through that. Secondly, I'm glad you cut them off, because that's like what you said earlier is the thing that hit me the hardest. It's like you're bringing in business, and you really don't want to lose it. Like you don't want to lose it. And a lot of what we do is the money I'm making worth what I'm doing? That's at the end of the day, some people, we have to think that way. And so for you to say, okay, like this is nothing to do with money anymore, this is just my line in the sand at this point, I feel like, especially as sales professionals, because we're on the phones, that's one of the hardest things, is the first time you have to just draw your line in the sand as a sales professional, because it just takes time. Could take years before somebody has to do that. So I appreciate you sharing that.
I think, the hardest part is like the money when you're looking like, I did 200 loans over the last 2.5 years for him. So that's a lot of money. And I kept going, wow, well, okay, maybe it'll get better. Maybe it'll get better. It's worth the money. And now it's like, it's crazy, because as soon as I got rid of him, it's like I got more business coming in. And when my daughter and my family members are noticing, that one person is draining stuff out of me, I was like, okay, this is beyond like work now. This is affecting my mood, my personal life, my mood, everything I'm doing. And so this guy's got to go. But what I didn't realize is I was so afraid of losing the money. And once I was like kind of at peace with that fact, the business just came in, and I didn't really actually lose any money, because I freed up the rest of everything in my life to be, have more come in. So it's interesting how it all works out when you just let it go.
Thank you for sharing. Appreciate you. Anyone else have a story on this? How do you handle clients? Oh, sorry. Who is that?
Yeah, Kim.
Kim. Yeah, please.
Okay, so I have one. one that was a realtor who's a listing agent who's consistently just really nasty, swearing, like really awful, abusive. And once he started talking to my team that way, then I had them block his number and he was no longer allowed to speak to them. So I'm hard boundary about, I mean, that's an HR issue as far as I'm concerned. He's like putting me in a spot. So they blocked his number, no more communication. They could email back and forth with him, but nothing voice to voice or no texting. And he didn't have their cell phone numbers. And then if there needed to be a voice to voice conversation, it was always with me. Which eventually then I blocked his number too and said he was so abusive that I said, nope, email only. And every time he'd say, I'm never going to accept another offer from you. And he's a guy who does flips in town, in our small town. And I said, okay. And then, of course, I get a contract with him as a listing agent 2 months later. So that's baloney. And we just communicated via email ever since. And that was like 5 years ago. And it's fine. So that's my like line in the sand. Anyone who's abusive, even one time verbally abusive to my team, their number's blocked. My team doesn't talk to them. And that's my responsibility. Same with a client, like whether it's an agent or a client. I have a like line about that because it's my job to take that, but not theirs. Then on a partner, I had a similar story with a partner that was husband and wife with a assistant. They were 40% of my business for 3 years, and also um, my husband and I's closest friends. And they turned really toxic and negative, and were being real mean to my team for months. And eventually I just had to draw a line and I bought I bought each of them flowers. I wrote Dear John letters, one to the husband, one to the wife, and one to their team assistant. And I literally drove to their office with flowers for each of them and my Dear John letter for each of them. And I handed them both to them all. And I said, I wish you light and love. I'm sure we're gonna come across deals where we're on them together. But I think for the sake of everyone's well-being, we just need to part ways. And then I left.
And you were classy on the way out too. Look at you go. That's awesome. This is just, I'm more curious because when I hear some of these too, is it different? You think from the lady's perspective, like you feel like it comes at you from a different approach? Because like when I hear these stories, I
Mm-hmm.
haven't gotten them like that before. Just to be very
Mm-hmm.
transparent with the group. So excuse being naive, but do y'all notice that just talking to amongst each other or conversations?
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's different. I
absolutely.
just the way what you're saying is like I just never heard it like that to
Mm-hmm.
me before. It comes at me differently. It's still aggressive, but it's a very different type of aggression, if that makes sense.
I've
Yeah, we
had
very much get men. Hmm.
Very
very
Go
aggressive
ahead.
customers, very aggressive, especially men. Unfortunately, that just want to just like walk all over you. And that's been decades that I've worked with men. And I've gotten very used to it. I had really good mentors. And I think I answered this question in the Facebook group as well. I learned how to just let them talk it out the first time when they're like really angry and being abusive to the team. And then they wouldn't talk to my team anymore. I said, just go directly through me. And then I would monitor it. And some people I did say, hey, there's a great loan officer down the street. Her name's Dee. She was awful and mean. And I would just say, just go work with Dee. And I think you guys are a better fit. No offense. And a few of them came back much better. And some of them didn't come back. And that's fine too. So
I love that approach. Sorry, I was just you're just yeah, go to D. No, thank you for sharing.
please go to Dee.
I was just more so curious. I could just again just kind of listening intently there and just hearing the way you're all speaking about it. It's definitely different from my side of it. So I appreciate y'all sharing. Y'all, thank you for helping us answer these questions for our community. That was awesome. Just getting all your inputs on there. Such a different lens than just hearing it from me. Just to be upfront, because all of our approaches are different. So I want to share a sales tip with y'all, and I'm gonna leave you with something and get you guys out of here. And I appreciate your time. So let me find what I'm sharing when I can. Oh, 1 second. All right, there it is. Can you see my screen? I don't know why it did that, but
Yep.
all right, I don't know why it's there. All right, so I just talked about this at Mortgage Con, and I want to just give you an example. So I believe that there are three main pillars, not just to sales, but to just any line of communication. So forget being a salesperson for a second. Forget being a processor, an underwriter, an LOA, a loan officer. Just think about being an effective communicator. There are three pillars to being an effective communicator. So clarity, structure, and language. Clarity, structure, and language. And I want to give you a real life example of how that can go severely wrong. Okay? So anybody here ever do a group chat with their family before or their friends? Probably all of us, right? If not most of us on here. So I did that not long ago. We had a group chat going out with my family. I wanted to get dinner. Now, I screwed this up. This is my fault. So let's just start there on how this went. So here's the text message I sent, okay, clarity-wise. Hey, we should all get food later. Okay? That's what I sent. I have no goal, no outcome, and I'm just sitting there waiting. I was just busy. I sent the text message, just like we all do, right? I'm just in between a call. I'm in between a meeting. I send that out to the 6 people on there. All of a sudden, the replies start coming in. I'm down. When? What time? What are we eating? Absolute chaos ensues. I finally go back to look at my phone, call it 20, 30 minutes later. I'm 35 messages behind, and now I want to exit the group chat that I started. Just absolutely astonished, upset, irritated at this point. And then the next part, structure. This is where things really hit the fan, all right? You have somebody in the group chat, this being my sister, who wants to fix things. So now my sister's involved, and she says, hey, what's everybody craving? Now the structure is completely out the door. So I went from the leader, putting this together, right? I'm the person that wanted to do this. I gave zero clarity, and now someone else is taking over the structure of this. And then the last piece of it is the language. What kind of language are we using? How are we framing conversations? I got so frustrated. What did I do? I said, guys, just let me know whenever you guys think of something. And then I'll go ahead and book. I'll pay for it. I'll DoorDash it. Do you think we got dinner that night? No, we did not have a family dinner that night. We didn't. And so I tell you that story because I challenge you whenever you're talking to your clients, how often are you providing the structure that they need to understand what's actually going on? Do you feel like you've given them enough structure so that they can make a decision with confidence, that you can guide them in the right direction? And it's not just for your clients, it's just for everybody in your life, whether you have kids, colleagues, friends, meetings, whatever it is that you're doing. If you're the one setting the tone, if you're the leader of the pack, what kind of structure are you giving people? And is there enough clarity inside of that structure? The next piece of it is the language. How are you framing these conversations? What things are you saying? Like one of the ways I could have framed that would be been what? Hey, near the house, there's a taco place and a pizza place. Thumbs up for tacos, hearts for pizza. That's a perfect way to break the language gap there, right? That would have solved it via text message. And so again, when our clients leave us, when our clients choose to work with somebody else, when our underwriters on here, our processors on here, when a loan officer calls you and says they want to work with somebody else, something happened under one of these three categories. I promise you, it's really hard for them not to fall under here. And it's not just business related. You can apply these into your personal life. Where did the clarity, structure, or language go wrong? And Sloan, you shared this earlier. You know, you said you were talking about saying sorry, you know, and getting away from that, but still taking ownership. This is where, hey, we don't have to say sorry, but we're going to take ownership, right? We're going to take ownership. We're going to stay dialed in, and we're going to help because we're the leaders of the pack. We manage the expectations. And then the last piece of it, y'all, is let's just say you want to rekindle a relationship with the client, a loan officer, a processor, whatever it might be. It's going to take one of you to let your guard down and to ask yourself where we went wrong in these three pillars. And let that be you. It's okay if it's you. If it's okay if it's you that goes back to the other person to say sorry. Not say sorry, but take ownership, just like we talked about. It's okay to tell them, hey, I think we had a misstep in this part of our communication. I'd like to walk through what I've seen and see if that's how you felt as well as we go through this. So these are the opportunities that I wanted to share with y'all. And then what I'm going to give you in here, I put it in the chat. You can download it. So these are prompts that we're leveraging for AI. I've been using AI to listen to my phone call since 2016 when I was in retail. And if you're not having somebody listen to your calls, I'm sorry, if you're not recording your phone calls, then at least save your text messages that you send clients, save your emails that you send clients, save the emails that your client sends you. You can use these prompts to help break down a client and break down basically like what their emotions are towards doing a transaction. It helps you take a different approach. It helps you manage more expectations. It helps you provide more clarity for your consumers. So I wanted to give that to all of you. Just say thank you. I appreciate y'all being part of this Broker Power Up podcast live. We'll get this out, and we appreciate all your answers. But any other comments, concerns, or things of that nature that I can help with?
Are you going to be with us every week, or is different
No,
people?
I'll start being with you guys. Over the next couple weeks, I'll be transitioning into be doing this every week.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. All right, y'all. Have a beautiful morning. I appreciate all of you very much. Take care.
Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you.
Feel better.
Thank you.